Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs post-game show, and oh my goodness, Cody, the Chicago Cubs pull off an improbable comeback north of the border in Milwaukee against their rival. An incredible win. This series has been unbelievable. I can't believe what we just saw. Jake, you both manifested that win. I'm sitting there on the right. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. This is an incredible win for the Cubs. 4-3 the final. Kevin Wells in for Luke Stuckmeyer tonight, joined by Cody Delmendo. We're out of breath. I'm out of breath. I can't believe it.
I can't believe you haven't cracked the beer yet.
Cheers, baby. Let's go.
I'm gonna cheers to this. We're gonna go right to the beer bat.
We're going to the beer bat right away.
Right to the beer bat because holy shit, what a game that was. I was dead inside around the 8th inning. And we're sitting on the couch. We're both just complaining about this team. This team can't hit anything out of the ballpark. The amount of fly balls hit to the warning track tonight, all this stuff. You can't score any runs when you got your ace on the mound. All these things, just bad vibes all around. And what happens? The Cubs they score 3 runs in the 9th inning off Devin Williams.
The National League all-star closer, one of the best relievers in all of baseball, only his second blown save of the season. The Cubs were down to their final strike. Christopher Morel struck out, and at that moment in time, the Brewers had a 93% chance of winning that ball game. And sure enough, Mike Tauchman comes up, works a great at-bat, couple change-ups low that he fouls away, couple pitches outside that he fouls away, and then goes the same way with an outside pitch because Devin Williams, that's his strength. He's really good at keeping the ball outside of the zone. Goes with a pitch on the outside part, knocks in 2 runs. And then the best part about that play, he gets to second base and ends up scoring on an error. Just a great heads-up baseball inning from Mike Tauchman, who that might be the hit of his career. That's certainly, in my book, the win of the year for the Chicago Cubs. Just a massive turn of events.
They took yesterday's win and said, hold my beer.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday's win was unreal. And this one just like I tweeted this during the game, the Cubs didn't beat themselves tonight. They hit some balls hard, but right to the Brewers defense a few times. Swanson's couple ground ball double plays definitely hurt for sure.
And we'll talk about him later in the show.
But then, of course, the Brewers, they were hitting balls into all the holes. Adames is one of the only guy who can actually hit the ball over the fence tonight, considering all the fly balls we saw. And then I think the baseball gods delivered in the 9th inning, though, because if you go on Baseball Savant, Tauchman's double was hit 86 miles per hour. Every other ball put in play in that inning was hit less than 85. Well under that.
Yeah.
Well under that. I think Bellinger's single was hit 68 miles per hour. The Jared Young hit it's one of those put the ball in play. Good things happen sometimes. And that's baseball. You can't measure that. What that 9th inning that happened, advanced analytics, all that. It goes out the door with that 9th inning. It really did. Tauchman, he hit it, and he just put it in the right place, right time. It's unreal. It's unreal, and that's why this sport it can mentally just destroy you, but it can also, take you to the highest of highs. You know what I mean? And so that's, this game wasn't like yesterday where I was legitimately dead inside because I thought we were going to blow another lead, and they end up winning it. They played a decent game tonight, just didn't get the bounces to go their way, but they just didn't give up. And, again, putting the ball in play, it just sometimes, that's all you got to do. And we've talked it in sometimes about how the strikeouts on this team have been too much, especially for this type of roster. And, Morel struck out. But other than that, all those guys put the ball in play, and, they put pressure on the Brewers' defense.
You got to give him credit.
Yeah,
you got to give him credit. Before we get to the beer bat, the chat is going crazy. We appreciate all of you on us right now. Richter, I'm on cloud 9. I think we all are. French Bulls TV, wow, with all capitals. The Cardinals lost tonight. Another win in the chat. I mean, give us a like right now.
We got 168 watching, 27 likes. So hit the like button. If we don't have at least 100 likes by the end of the show, I'll be disappointed. So,
Before we touch on the beer bet, we were talking about Jared Young and some great at-bats there in the 9th inning. I just want to give One, David Ross did a really nice move today, putting in Patrick Wisdom at third base to make 2 huge double plays late in the game. That was a great managerial move on David Ross's part. And also, sticking with Jared Young and not pinch hitting for him after a really tough night at the plate where there was a ton of swing and miss on the fastball. He stuck with him. Jared Young, going up against one of the most filthy relievers in all of baseball, gets down in the count, still finds a way to put the ball in play. I mean, that is just credit where credit is due. I mean, both those guys are going to be unsung heroes tonight.
Swanson came out. We'll talk about Swanson, the injury, in the second segment, I'm sure. But I think Wisdom coming in coming in when he did was mainly because Swanson coming out. But Morel, we've highlighted his well-played defense at second base, and obviously Horner has a lot of experience at short. So they got 2 big double plays in those late innings when, we're sitting here complaining about the offense. The defense, after Still came out, when Rucker was in there, those were probably they weren't technically high leverage innings for Michael Rucker, but he, didn't give up any runs. And he's been someone who has been kind of like a roller coaster this year. For him to come in there and get the job done to keep the Cubs in the game was huge. And, yeah, inducing those ground balls to Wisdom to get those double plays. I feel like that one after the 8th inning especially kind of gave the Cubs a little bit of a momentum boost going to 9th inning. It was just like, could they actually execute it? And then they did, and it was –
They did in a big way.
You're right. Like, this might rank up there as the best win of the year just based off of, like, how the last, 2 days have gone and the how big this series is for this team. Yeah, like, exactly, who they're playing, like, for the division and everything like that. But – yeah, I mean, good on Wisdom to come in and, be on the bench the entire game and still be able to, make those defensive plays, something that we've kind of criticized him a little bit this year where he struggled. So, but as far as leaving Jared Young in the game, yeah, I mean, he had a tough night. I don't know who they would have brought in to take the at-bat, but, I give Jared Young credit for just putting the ball in play, considering the night that he had. He had 2 strikeouts on the night.
No kidding.
And he was going up. I mean, Devin Williams was the hardest pitcher he had to face tonight.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and he just, they got soft contact, but he hit it in the right spot because he hit it to the third base side, and they had what you could call a shift in today's game on, and it was just a really tough play. And again, baseball doesn't make any sense sometimes. So
Kurt in the chat, these last 2 games have been the best wins of the year. It's hard to disagree. And to that, we're going to toast a beer bat.
Oh, yeah, man.
How about it?
This beer bat, to everyone, the 198 watching, 200 hopefully by the time I finish this beer. This is for the summer of Mike Tauchman. I mean, where were you for the summer of Mike Tauchman? I was here. I was here at CHGO, baby.
I was yelling during the White Sox show.
I was yelling during the White Sox show, yes. Oh, my God. Mike Tauchman, what a guy, just taking the opportunity and running with it. Not only is just your leadoff guy every day now, it feels like the guy started the year in the minors, kind of coming off like some bad seasons as like a bench guy for some other teams, and here is the Cubs like thriving. The hometown dude, he continues to be amazing. And it's not even just the hit tonight. He got hit by a pitch, so he got on, whatever, took one for the team, and then he also walked. So he's doing his job. He's doing what he is on the team to do. So, yeah, this one is to Mike Tauchman, baby. Here we go.
To Mike Tauchman. Fire up that stopwatch. Let me get mine out.
What's your record, by the way?
8.5.
I'm going to see if the vibes improve your score a little bit today.
I'm going to try.
All
Are we good?
I'm ready to roll.
All right, here we go.
As soon as it touches his lips, we press the start button and go. This feels like a record. Cody's really hyped up. A little bit left. We're at 7 seconds. 8, 9, 10, stop. I got 11.74, but I started a second late. So
I got 13.21.
Okay.
All right, we'll take the median difference.
I tried.
12 seconds, huh?
I need the Cubs to win during the week when we're here. Because when they win on the weekends, like mainly Saturdays, because they don't know how to win on Sundays, I'm not doing this at home. I don't have a bat at home.
According to Jesse Rogers of ESPN, he tweeted out this stat from ESPN Stats and Info. Cubs pull out a 4-3 win over Milwaukee after trailing 3-1 entering the ninth. The Cubs had lost 112 consecutive games in which they trailed by multiple runs in the ninth inning or later. That was the second longest active streak in baseball. I mean, how many games have we watched? And we're going to talk about a little bit of the history of this series coming up too, and David Ross and his colorful language used on Marquee yesterday about. But it just goes to show that these two teams, when these two teams get together, it's fireworks, it's intense baseball, and every single inning can make the difference. Mm-hmm. And the Brewers proved it. On Monday, when I was in the stands with a bunch of my Brewer fans, my blood was boiling. They blew a 6-run lead. The Brewers are never out of it. The Cubs are never out of it. This is what rivalries are supposed to feel like. And this is especially when now you're not playing these teams as much anymore. You're playing more American League teams. These divisional games mean that much more.
Yeah.
And this was a game the Cubs needed. They came into this series needing a series win, and they've set themselves up to do that tomorrow with their ace on the mound, Marcus Stroman. I mean, it's a win that means so much more than just the 4-3 stats on the page.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does mean a lot.
The way this team has responded after that, losing that, like blowing that 6-0 lead or whatever on Monday, arguably the worst loss of the year, to see how they've won games the last 2 days, not only is it unbelievable, but it speaks to the toughness. Like, a lot of people in my Twitter mentions talking about how this team is mentally weak, all these stuff. And sometimes, I can understand why some people feel that, but I don't feel like they ever quit or ever get too high or too low. I think that they've said that a handful of times on Marquee. David Ross has said it in post-game pressers, whether you want to believe him or not. I feel like the last couple of days kind of shows that they don't. Like, that was a tough loss on Monday, and I feel like last year's team, even the 2021 team with the talent that was on that roster, something like that happens, then it's a free fall, you know what I mean? So to see this team respond these last 2 days now, and I know the Reds won, but hey, you're behind Milwaukee too. You gotta catch up to them. They just gotta be in striking distance going into the All-Star break, in my opinion. So you're not gonna be able to, catch up in one day, but all you can do is control what you can control, right? Mm-hmm. So, again, huge win. You get a chance to win the series tomorrow, and then go to New York and see what happens. Hopefully you go into the All-Star break playing really well, and that ignites a fire for the rest of the season, right? But someone in the chat, I didn't see their name, but they mentioned ALLCITY too. I don't feel like we've mentioned him yet. Like, that ninth inning, like, he came in and it was shut down. And that's coming off.
The location of the fastball was fantastic.
And
from ALLCITY.
And that's coming off of the bad outing yesterday, right? Like, it was almost like it was like he forgot the entire thing happened and went out there and did what he does. And again, I don't know if he's your future closer after this year or not, but like, he's definitely been their best closer of the year this far. To see him respond the way he did, like, it's awesome. And credit to him too, man. Ryan and Brennan wrote something at allchgo.com about ALLCITY. We retweeted it from the CHGO Cubs Twitter account, so go check that out. But I think he deserves a lot of credit too. Just like there was no stress in the ninth inning. Like, I was expecting stress. I was expecting something wrong to happen.
You weren't stressed in that ninth inning? I was sweating. I was a little worried.
After ALLCITY got the first two outs, I was still nervous, but not nearly as nervous, because you could tell he was different than yesterday, the way that he got those outs. Like, Yelich was the only one who put the ball in play. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
watching ALLCITY tonight, it did look like, and again, he was going up against Bryce Terang to kick off the inning. That's always a little bit of a breather. Bryce Terang has really, really been riding the struggle bus for Milwaukee these last couple of weeks.
Yep.
It's pretty low on their lineup in OPS, but guess what? You did what you needed to do. The location of the fastball was great. It was the outside edge tonight. He didn't really leave a ton of balls over the middle of the plate. I thought the slider was effective when needed, but I don't have the exact number of pitches he threw, pitch distinction, but it felt like it was a little bit more fastball heavy tonight. And again, 97 on the outside edge. We heard JD and Boog kind of talk about it after he struck out Terang on the fat. They're like, wow, you could just tell he's got a little bit more juice tonight. And that's his fifth save. It's great. That's what you need to have as a closer. You need to have the nails attitude, especially against a rival in a game that your team is coming back to steal this game. You want to lock that down.
Yeah.
You want to lock it down, and that's what he did. The pitching was really good tonight. Steele gave up 9 hits. He was sharp, though, another quality start. Mm-hmm. I saw a couple people in there talking about, I thought Steele was the ace. I'm not taking away anything from Justin Steele. Trust me, guys. Mm-hmm. I'm not. He has been incredible this season. you can only have one ace. I mean, depending on I know Steele leads the majors now in ERA.
At least he did going into this game. I don't know where it's at now since he gave up 3 runs.
It was, 2-4-3 or something. So, use ace to that's
to me, it's 1A and 1B, and you can put either name on either of them because I know Stroman has struggled his last few starts, so he's good. He's due for a good one tomorrow. But
both All-Stars, both have been great.
Yeah, like they both. You can't complain about anything that they've done. So it's exciting stuff to see those guys do what they're doing. An even bigger thing about tonight's win is like that they won the game with Justin Steele on the mound, because that was probably my biggest annoyance about this. It's like, man, you had one of your best pitchers on the mound and you still found a way to lose the game. So again, that 9th inning, unreal, dude, absolutely unreal. The 2023 Cubs, man, they are something. I still can't figure out a word for them. Obviously, we've said hot and cold. When they are playing bad, they look like the worst team in baseball. When they're playing good, you want to fall in love with them. You know what I mean? But they just haven't been, as a whole, they haven't been able to consistently put together just some kind of middling ground of that, right? And so they've just been a very frustrating team because you look at the run differential. They're the only team with a positive run differential in the division. And you look at, they have 3 All-Stars. 2 of them are 2 of their best starting pitchers. And they're 5 games under 500. And it's like, why? Doesn't make sense. Make it make sense to me.
Yeah, they're still the only team in the National League Central with a positive run differential too. I think it's plus 24 after the win tonight. Everybody else is well into the negatives. You're right, and that's baseball. It can be a very frustrating sport, and it can be very difficult sometimes to compartmentalize why they're losing games that they should be winning. And it just seems like they're on the path like they were going to London. It seems, I know that the Philly series was tough, but it still feels like this team is just a couple bats away from really competing in the National League for, a top 4 spot, and especially in the division. We talk about it every show. I mean, you look at that Brewers lineup. I was sitting there on Monday at American Family Field with a lot of my Brewers friends, and I just remember looking at this lineup and how different it is, and all these guys that you're like, who the heck are these guys? And some of them are good, and I don't mean that as a disrespectful way. It's just, you look at the Cubs lineup compared to the Brewers lineup. You look at the notable players and the guys the Brewers have signed off the street, the guy they signed off the street who had the game-tying double. They shouldn't be in the same realm. This Cubs lineup is so much deeper and so much more compact.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really, that's the frustrating part. And the reason when you look at them and you see that they're 5 games under 500, it's like, well, what the heck are we doing here? But at some point in time, these games come around and you start to see the wins stack up, because bad luck doesn't last forever in baseball. We're seeing that in some of the lineups too. Seiya Suzuki, who was riding the struggle bus for a long time, he had 3 hits tonight. He had 2 hits yesterday. A guy who couldn't find, and they were hard hits too. A lot of things starting to go the right way.
Our friend Gary, a fellow diehard, he says in the chat, assuming he pulled this up from social media, David Ross says, Cubs will reevaluate Dansby Swanson's heel tomorrow. He will not be in the lineup, but they'll decide tomorrow if he's available off the bench. So,
yeah, I mean,
that's really probably like the only negative thing from this game.
And it's a big one.
And it's a big one, yeah. They can't afford for him to be out for a while. Brennan tweeted earlier, he tweeted in the 9th inning, because he's all about Dansby and Nico. That's all that's on his mind all the time. But apparently he had a heel injury with the Braves in 2019, and it forced him to miss a month. So we'll see. I'm one of those who waits and sees. I'm not going to jump to conclusions. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. So
the Atlanta Journal Constitution wrote this. And it's kind of, reading it word for word, it's kind of freaky how it's almost the same injury. When I lunged for the first base bag, my back spike hit the ground flat, and all of that force went up through my heel, and then my foot hit the bag. So I don't know. I would have to go back and rewatch the play. I know he was running into first base. I don't know what foot he stepped with.
Yeah.
But, again, this could be a really, if there's any silver lining to this.
Yeah.
the All-Star break is next week.
Right.
If there's any silver lining at all, because, again, the Cubs can't afford to lose their best player right now.
Right.
They
the best defensive player. And,
best player.
Yeah. And yes, definitely their best player for sure.
Brendan in the chat, I want to personally examine Dansby's heel to make sure he's okay.
He says I need his x-rays.
Can we get Ryan to give those x-rays to us? Do that real investigative journalism, Ryan.
Yeah, that real investigative stuff. So, anyway, yeah, no, that's probably the only thing from this game that
Let's hope it's not an IL stint.
Yeah. Let's hope.
Let's hope it's not an IL stint.
But that said, if we want to look ahead just for a second, I would expect Horner at short tomorrow, and I would expect Morel at second, and Wisdom at third.
Yeah, Magical on the IL now.
Which I guess would give the Cubs a little bit more power. Can he not strike out 3 times tomorrow? I think that's a win. If Patrick Wisdom doesn't strike out 3 times tomorrow, that's all I can say. So,
you know what else you win with?
What else do you win with?
The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program.
Oh, Cody. That's a Luke Stuckmeyer-like transition.
I signed up for it a few months ago, and it's been great. It's committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve, helping manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future.
Yeah, ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across the territory. ComEd also offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities like for HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes.
So how does that work?
Well, Kevin, let me tell you, an authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. Within 3 to 4 weeks, customers will receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that they can start working on immediately. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback. If you own a business, don't wait. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy saving tips, lighting incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment, go to ComEd.com/poweringbiz.
Did you say ComEd.com/poweringbiz?
Yes, Kevin, schedule it today.
I'm not gonna lie, when you did that pause there, I was like, Cody, you didn't put in the cue for me to say anything. I was a little worried there.
I like that he said don't wait and immediately waits.
Yeah, you said don't wait. I kind of looked over at you and I was like,
yeah,
oops, I'm waiting.
Luke Stuckmeyer would have been proud of that one. Okay, so all I can, if I couldn't be at American Family Field or Miller Park, I will always call it Miller Park. If I couldn't have been there tonight, this would be the only place I would rather be. But if you could have gone to the game tonight in Milwaukee, if you drove up from Chicago, you probably could have got your tickets on Game Time. And let me tell you, Brewers, you can get your tickets on Game Time. Sometimes a brewer, not even sometimes, they sell their tickets at like Subway. They sell with like a $5 footlong. The fact that they have all these options, but it's still cheaper on Game Time is incredible, Kevin.
I love Game Time. I used it on Monday. I'm not kidding. I used it on Monday and the promo code CHGO.
Right. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the music, sports, comedy, and theater near you with killer deals on last-minute tickets. They're in their best price guarantee. You can't stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for all the fun that you'll have. I've said this a few times. I went to Morgan Wallen at Wrigley Field a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Thanks to Game Time. It was good seats. Again, you could have gone to the game tonight. They'll be back at beautiful historic Wrigley Field in a few weeks after the All-Star break. The Red Sox are coming to town. Whether you're in on this team or not, when the Red Sox come to Wrigley, I always feel like that's special just because of how historic those franchises are, as in the Cubs and Red Sox. So you can get your tickets on Game Time. And the fact you could just wait until the last minute, you probably get the best price. So Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. It's the fastest-growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. You get images of your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps, and you're set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email. You can snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Love me some Game Time. Not even kidding. I used it on Monday. It was great. Super efficient. Right into my Apple Wallet as soon as I bought them. Let's talk a little bit about Dansby Swanson here. Our buddy Jared is going to join us from the ballpark in just a moment here. Before we get to him, what's that?
Do we have a super chat?
I believe we did, yes.
Okay, let's do the super chat.
From Mariano Tenuta. Even on his bad days, Steele gives you a chance. Great win. Third baseman and lefty in the bullpen away from winning the division.
Well, I
think they're a power bat away from winning the division.
Well,
because tonight was one of those nights where you really were like,
yeah,
man, they just need one to put they just need to put one over the fence.
Yeah.
They just need to put one over the fence. It's all they needed. They couldn't get it tonight. They ended up winning without it. But I appreciate the super chat, Mariano. Yeah, I mean, Steele was
Corners would have been out at Wrigley. So.
Yeah, that's right. It went like, 360?
Yeah, it would have gone out in like three parks, and Wrigley Field would have been the park. And of course, it just is out at the warning track. Yelich catches the ball, but
yeah, I do agree. Anyway. I do agree with most of that, though.
Yeah, I mean, at third base, you want power, right? Like, and that's kind of why, even with when Madrigal was playing third and as good as he was playing, it's still like, you need a power hitting third baseman, right? So. Yeah, that's always been my thing. So
Cody Bellinger's hitting the ball right now. I mean, 11-game hit streak, but he's not your power bat right now. It's kind of
hasn't
a power
been
outage,
one.
Right?
Yeah.
So totally. I mean, you want a little bit more of power. A power hitting third baseman would be nice. I just want an everyday home run guy in this lineup, to be honest. And there's not many of those guys in baseball. So that's on the top of the Cubs wish list. Should they buy? We'll see.
It's a roller coaster deciding if they buy or sell. Like it depends on if they win or lose that day, right? Like on Monday, I was like, man, we're selling. We have 3 All-Stars and we're selling. I was fucking as down as I've been all season on Monday, and then they win the last 2 games like this, and now my hope of going 5-2 this week is still alive. Like it's, I feel like if they can go into the break on a 5-2 week. That's a lot of momentum that you're taking into the All-Star break that, can put them in a good spot,
And this game definitely
for
keeps
those final
that
few weeks before the deadline.
It keeps that, ticker towards the bye. This game really, because you lose this game and it really starts to shift back. But let's get to our guy Jared. I know he's out at the ballpark right now, and I mean, it had to have been bedlam in the Cubs locker room after this game. And just the whole overall vibe with that team right now. These last 2 wins, contributions across the board, and it just had to have been quite the vibe in the locker room. Jared, am I wrong when I say that, or I'm sure it was pretty hectic in there?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong at all. Spirits were definitely high. There was some dancing going on. I won't say who, but yeah, more than one guy enjoying the win for sure. So, yeah, they're definitely good spirits. But also, I think one of the things that Ross has talked about and the guys have talked about, even in the ups and downs of this season, is they're pretty consistent in how they approach things. And so they ride with these wins like yesterday's and today's. But one of the things that I've seen over the weeks of the season is that even on the days that they lose, you don't see this team stay down for very long, at least, how they act and prepare and things like that. So I think some of what you've seen the last 2 days is the product of that sort of a mentality. But yeah, locker room was bumping, as the kids say. I think they still say that.
You can give us some details. Come on. Who is the best dancer in the group?
I will say this. One of the guys who had to enter the game later on was busting out some moves.
He's talking about Pat Wisdom.
Wisdom or ALLCITY? I feel like maybe ALLCITY.
We've seen Wisdom like during pregame warmups.
Some dances.
Some dances.
Okay,
I've seen it before. I'm leaning to guess it'd be Wisdom. But ALLCITY does have good vibes though. So.
All right. From Justin Steele tonight. obviously we saw him fired up on Twitter after the game, tweeting, "Talk to me nice." He's excited for his teammates. Didn't have his best stuff tonight, but still a ton of swing and miss. The slider still looked good. Only 3 runs, another quality start. Was he happy with his performance? Was David Ross happy with his performance?
Yeah, they both were, but they both recognized that this was not the sharpest version of Justin Steele, that we've seen this season. But I think this is also a sign of the progression that he's made as a pitcher, where he can be a little bit off and still be very, very good, because we've reached the point where he throws a quality start, and we kind of look at it like, oh, this is different, or what's going on here. And if you look at his stat line, 6 innings, only gave up 3 runs. He didn't walk anybody. If anything, he was throwing a lot of strikes, and Brewers batters were, picking, a couple of times when he hung some sliders and things like that, and came through with their hits. But yeah, this was a really good performance from him, though not his best. But this is, again, like I said, this is a sign of how much he's grown and matured as a pitcher, that he can have a night like this, and we kind of look at it, a little bit of a side eye, like, what's going on here. But he said in the locker room after the game that this was his favorite win of the season. And he said that was because of the fact that it was a total team win, because, he comes in, he gives you those 6 innings, but he talked about Michael Rucker coming in for 2 innings and keeping those guys from scoring any more runs for 2 innings. That's a crucial part of the game. Mike Tauchman mentioned that as well. I think Rucker deserves a lot of credit for what he did tonight, because it's if he even gives up 1 or 2 more runs, it's a very, very different ball game. And the Steele said when they were going into the top of the 9th there, he just said, I could feel it coming. I knew what, almost like I knew what was going to happen. We were going to win this game. So, these guys, even going into the 9th, down 3-1 with one of the best closers in the game on the mound, they still had that attitude. We can win this game.
It's unreal that the 9th inning, like the I guess you could call it the baseball luck the Cubs got. The way I know you, Jared, I'm sure you were paying attention to Baseball Savant, but the highest velocity or the hardest hit ball was 86 miles per hour, with Bellinger's being 69, Jared Young's 58, Yan Gomes grounds out, but he's able to move the runners. Horner's, it was an error, whatever. He put the ball in play. Like, the fact that all that happened with how it happened, I think is what you're saying is like a total team effort, because it felt like nothing went right for them in that game until the 9th inning, and I have to assume that in postgame that there was some talk about this, about how just putting the ball in play is just always important, no matter what, no matter how many ground balls to short or second base that we see. Putting the ball in play is so important to just getting any kind of rally starting or completing one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very spot on, because they went in and their approach in each of those at bats was, you hear baseball players say this all the time. They'll say over and over again, don't try to do too much, because when you get into a situation like that, the temptation is, and we look for it as people watching the game, the big home run that ends up winning the game for you. But a lot of times it's because of you get the at bats like Bellinger's, and even Jared Young, who had a pretty rough day at the plate, but still comes through with that single in the 9th inning that helps keep that inning going. And then Mike Tauchman's at bat, which was just a phenomenal piece of hitting, because he told us after the game he was trying to stay away from the changeup and was fouling off pitches, so until he could get the pitch that he could do some damage with, while also thinking about, I'm not trying to do too much here. Yes, a home run's going to give us the lead, but that's the double down the line help do the job at the end of the day. But then too, another small thing that happened is, look at the ball that Nico Horner put into play, and the way that he put pressure on the defense as he's running down to first base, because that really easily could have been ground ball third out, and that's now we're going into the bottom of the 9th tied. And so Horner deserves a lot of credit for, the way he ran to first and applied that pressure and then rounded first. So Tauchman had time to come around and score before he was tagged out, because if he just gets to first and stops there, Tauchman maybe is out at home, and it's same kind of thing. So there's a lot of little things like that have to go, you have to execute that stuff. And that's a big part of why they won tonight.
I love the point about Rucker too. It really is key, because we were kind of talking about it at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, you were surprised he was there.
Yeah, and like at the beginning of the show, I did not expect to be talking about Michael Rucker, but like Jared said, to get those clean innings, and with the bullpen being taxed like it was, for Rucker to be able to keep them in the game. Because like you said, as down as we were, as much as we could play about the offense on the couch, it was only 3-1, right? Like anything can happen. And that's what happened. The Cubs make this giant comeback in the ninth inning by just putting the ball in play. You get the big hit from a guy that no one thought would be much of anything for this team this year, and that's baseball. And that's why, like, this team is so, like I said, this team is so hot or cold when it comes to, like, the vibe. Like, when things aren't going well, they're really not going well. And when things are going well, you're like, can you do this for like a good 2-3 week stretch so I can like buy into you? Because like I feel like that's where a lot of fans are.
I think, and Jared, you've probably covered a lot of these games over the last like 5 or 6 years. It just feels like these two teams have given us countless classics, just great baseball, down to the wire, intense comebacks, walk-offs, brawls. These two teams don't like each other. The respect is there, but it's obvious that the last few years, I mean, it just seems like the baseball that we've watched, and this is just another chapter in what's been a really fun stretch. Obviously, these two teams aren't world beaters like they were a few years ago, but nights like tonight really make you appreciate the game and this rivalry a little bit more, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, these have become for me some of my favorite games to cover, because Kevin, like you said, you're going to get something. This is not going to be boring baseball, because they're, when Cubs Brewers, and it doesn't matter if they're playing in Chicago, it doesn't matter if they're playing here in Milwaukee, it's going to be, in my opinion, fun baseball to watch, because there's an added layer of excitement to it. Because I think over the last 6 or 7 years, this has developed into a really strong rivalry that maybe wasn't there 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Cubs Cardinals is still a thing, but you could make a case the Cubs have been more competitive in the playoffs in the last 6 or 7 years or so. And given how things are going for the Cardinals this season. So the big rivalry feels like Cubs and Brewers to me. So yeah, I love covering these games. Happy to make a drive up to Milwaukee tonight to see this one. And, it's going to go down in my memory as one of the best games I've seen in a long time.
It's just so funny, because all these quotes that we get from these managers too. I did a deep dive today because David Ross obviously spouting off in the presser yesterday about poor umpiring, and he was very justified to do so. There were some horrendous calls in the game yesterday, but even the shots that he's taken at the Brewers over the years, and the shots that Craig Counsell has taken back at the Cubs, I mean, the respect is clearly there. Those are two. Craig Counsell's the longest tenured manager in the National League. He's won World Series. David Ross has won World Series. They're both catchers. The respect is clearly there, but it's so fun to see them go at each other. It's tense. You can feel the anger when they play each other on the field. Ross saying, I'm sure if we hit Christian Yelich as much as they've hit Wilson, they'd feel the same way a couple years ago. Now saying, hey, it was a great 4th of July. It felt un-American to close that roof. And Craig Counsell saying a couple of years ago when they canceled the game because of a fake rain delay, they didn't know, they thought rain was coming, and he goes, oh, it's the first time, we've had to treat players for sunburn during a rain delay. Just the subtle shots, the subtle digs. I mean, it's so fun, right? Like, that's what sports is about.
Yes, and that's a big part of what makes it fun. And even before the game today, during batting practice, Jesse Winker came over to kind of near the Cubs dugout and said to a couple of us and media people, said, hey, tell Rossi the roof is closed right now. So the players are coming over and kind of making some jokes about it, and that just yeah, you're exactly right. It just makes it more fun. He smiled as he said it, and we all laughed. And then even Ross's comment when he said it, who closes the roof on the 4th of July? That's un-American. He's saying it with a kind of this smirk on his face. So I think for them too, that adds to the fun of these games. They enjoy this kind of back and forth because you're definitely right. There's a lot of respect going both ways between these two teams, and it's well earned and well deserved on both sides. So again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I have a blast with these games.
I think based off what you guys have just said, that makes today's win even bigger in terms of what Ross said yesterday about the roof and all this stuff, like kind of causing a little controversy. To come back and win a game like this today, it can be a real, downer on the Brewers going into tomorrow. Again, Cubs aren't having to face Burns or Woodruff. They got to face Freddie Peralta, who, based on the numbers this year, aren't as great as last year.
He's not been a world beater this year.
Yeah, so I think they have a good chance to win the series tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. But
did anybody say whether did anybody go as far? I know the Cubs are still 5 games below 500. And you got to get back to the 500 mark before you can talk really about anything else. But it just feels like this is the type of series that can really change a season. And I don't know if any of the guys in the locker room kind of hinted at that after the game. But these are the types of wins. If you watched enough baseball, like all three of us have, these divisional series can really turn a season around. And again, that's not to sound dramatic. It really is true. Going into the All-Star break, you're trying to find out a lot about your team. And I'm wondering, was there any reaction in the clubhouse that it's like, hey, we're turning this around?
Maybe not in the way that we might think, because like I said earlier, the attitude from these guys is very consistent. And so they recognize that these are significant games. That's one of the things that Tauchman said, like these divisional games matter. It is different when you're playing a divisional game, especially against a team that's above you in the standings. But he said, we just had some games against the Guardians, and we're playing the Yankees after this. Those games matter too. So they do have that recognition, but they're good about, at least publicly, they're good about not making too much of each individual game or series, and very consistent about, we know we can win. We know if we execute and we prepare and do what we need to do, that we can win these games. And so I don't know, some of that I think maybe internally for them is a little bit different, but they know, I mean, the reality is there that the trade deadline's not that far away. And a big part of how the front office approaches that trade deadline is going to come from what this team looks like over the next few weeks. And so they know the difference that it makes when you win some of these series and win some of these games now. It may change what happens 3 weeks from now. But Tauchman said, because he was one of the guys asked about that after the game, he said, that's stuff that we can't ultimately control very much. And so their attitudes are zeroed in on each game. What do we need to do to win today, and keeping it at that.
So last thing before we let you go, yes or no question, was this the biggest win of the season for the Cubs?
That's a tough one. Honestly, I think yesterday's was. Of the season so far, I don't know.
Yesterday's felt bigger.
Yesterday's felt bigger just because there was a lot going on. I think it was Steele who said, that referring to yesterday's game, he's like, that game was drunk for a while. So, they recognize that, they knew it. So yesterday's, at least from my view, I think is bigger, but I'll go back to what Steele said. He said this was his favorite win of the season so far. So, maybe it was.
Awesome.
I'll defer to Steele on that one.
Yeah.
If he says that, then who am I to disagree?
It's hard to decide which one's better, because yesterday they have the 4-run lead, they blow it, but they still find a way to win the game. If the feeling of it in the moment is like, wow, this could be a season-changing type win. Goes into today, it's kind of a boring game. You're frustrated with a couple fly balls that don't get out of the park that feel like they should have. Then you go in the 9th inning down 2 runs and you somehow score 3 and win the game
Yeah,
against
this
one
one-
of the best closers in the game.
This one just
It's
only
wild.
feels bigger to me just for the sole fact this is a heart-snatching win. This is a, hey, we go take the series tomorrow, we steal the Brewers' hearts and can really send them into the, the All-Star break really down and out. That's why. But even though yesterday's was a big win too, I think you go either way.
Yeah.
I was just curious if
Yeah,
it felt
for
any
sure.
different. But
And I think, especially given how things went on Monday, it was very much, the opposite way. That felt like what could have been a heart-snatching loss for the Cubs. And then they've since look at the way they've responded the next 2 days. You have to think in the Brewers clubhouse, there's a little bit of a feeling of, wow, we've kind of let this series get away from us.
Jared, we appreciate it, man. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you,
And,
guys.
yeah.
My
Jared will
pleasure.
be here
Happy to do it.
tomorrow with me for for post.
right.
So, yeah, make sure you tune in for that.
Cool. Jared, we'll let you get on out of here, man. Thank you again. We'll
right.
you'll be on the show tomorrow. We'll see you then.
See you guys.
That's Jared Willis reporting live from American Family Field after a Cubs 4-3 win, a comeback win, dramatic fashion in the ninth inning. ALLCITY shuts the door. Great win for the Cubs. Kevin Wells sitting in for Luke Stuckmeyer tonight alongside Cody Delmendo. Before we get to our third segment, I want to talk to you a little bit about Goose Island. CHGO is supported by Goose Island Beer Company. It's what I'm having right now. It's what Cody's having right now. How about another cheers, huh? Great win tonight.
There's a little bit left.
I love these 3-1-2s. This is like my go-to summer beer. So
I'm a big fan of the full pocket Pilsner. I like the Beer Hug Tropical, the Tropical Beer Hug, 9.9%. I like to emphasize that for all of our friends who like to consume alcoholic beverages. That's good. That's good stuff.
I remember the day that Wrigley started selling 3-1-2s, and I was like, "This finally, the Cubs are on their way. They're on their way." I wasn't 21 when they started selling them, but when that first 3-1-2 at Wrigley when I was 21 was pretty great. Chicago's beer since 1988. Goose Island IPA, 6-time medal winner at the Great American Beer Fest, always in style. Citrus aroma, a bold hop finish, tropical beer hug, dry hopped Imperial IPA. Just heard Cody talking about it. 9.9% alcohol. That's dangerously easy to drink. Then the 3-1-2 wheat ale. That's my favorite. It's the classic, the full pocket Pilsner, everyday beer. What the Brewers are drinking, not tonight because they lost. What's your favorite beer, though, right now? Still got to be the 3-1-2 for me. CTA, grab ultra fresh brewery exclusive beers at Goose Island, original brew house on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park. Just a little bit from me. Really cool place. Their tap room on the Fulton Street in Westtown. Goose Island Beer Company. That's Chicago's beer.
Barb is asking in the chat, or no, Jack was asking in the chat where Stucky is. He's on vacation. You can place bets on DraftKings to guess on where he's on vacation.
Stucky off the grid.
Yeah, he's off the grid. he's yeah, let's just say he's off the grid. You can do it again. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. You can place those bets on DraftKings Sportsbook on where he's on vacation. New customers download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code CHGO. Bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code CHGO only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in West Virginia, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. All games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly in partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in Connecticut. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. In state-specific responsible gambling resources, bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. 1 boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. Max bet $50. 10-plus leg requires for a 100% boost eligibility. Wagering and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Wow, that's a lot. All I can say is if you didn't understand any of that, it's just gamble responsibly at the best sportsbook that is out there. Thank you.
You were pretty close on that hit parlay tonight. So close.
Horner,
And I wish they ruled his like infield hit an error. That would have won the hit parlay tonight.
So close, man.
So close.
Those
And
hit
I
parlays are
I
fun.
bet on Belly to hit a homer tonight, and I felt like there was a few good chances, and he just missed it. As in, like, he swung right through a few fastballs.
Baseball is a tough sport to bet on, but I will say that I'm not a huge gambler, but I will say that I really enjoy the hit parlays because I'm like, I think I know baseball enough. I can read the matchups. I can read Baseball Savant, and I'm like, hey, this guy's been on a heater.
Yeah.
Let's pick him. I've been a big fan of those. If you're just joining us, please hit that like button. We're at 100 likes now. Really
100
appreciate
likes.
that.
We have
Chat is
183
blowing up.
watching, so perhaps we can get 83 more likes before the end of the show.
I also have a poll going on. Was this the biggest Cubs win of the season? And we have a very nice 69% that said yes right now.
Nice.
Well, the vibes are good. The vibes
Nice.
are good, baby.
Yeah, it just feels like it to me. I don't know. And again, I don't know if it's recency bias, the game we just saw. It was just, they were down to their final strike. It was a 2-2 count. Mike Tauchman, a guy, you're like, man, he comes up and you're like, I don't know if this guy's going to be anything. Mm-hmm. And
He's been that and
he's
more.
been, I don't even have the words to describe it. He's been such a huge part of
get-
that run they went
like
on.
laughable, yeah.
And a lot of us just thought,
He was
oh,
a
it's-
fourth outfielder.
yeah, okay, it's whatever. And he comes up, and again, I don't know all of the stats in his career. Certainly his biggest Cub at bat, his biggest Cub hit. And again, I don't know if it's recency bias, but it really feels like the biggest win. It feels like a game that the Brewers had in the bag. They throw their all-star closer up there. And it was over like that. I mean, an error at first base, and this is what we haven't talked about. We've talked about the great at bat and the single from Tauchman, but the heads-up base running, taking the 2 or 3 steps around third base, keeping your eye on the first baseman, listening to Gary Harris in the box saying, go, 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 being ready, not leaning towards home plate. That's what they teach you, the fundamentals, being able to score that run. Come on. I mean, just an all-around great
You mean
inning
Willie
for
Harris,
Tauchman.
but
Willie
yeah.
Harris, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're
Gary
fine.
Harris.
You're fine.
I got
Yeah.
Gary on my mind in the chat because he's been talking. Yeah, Willie Harris.
That's a good point, though, and
apologies.
I feel like that's something the Cubs have really tried to do. They've they really push the buttons on the base running, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Last year they were a really bad base running team, but I feel like this year they've been a much better base running team. That's heads up base running to just take, like you said, take those steps and then just keep going. And the moment he realized that ball was going in the dirt it looked like that's when he took off. And if it does, the worst thing that happens is in that situation is Horner's just out and there's no run at all.
Yep.
There was no risk in that. There weren't even, it wasn't even close. There was the throw home, he had already scored by the time they got there. So it was heads up base running, and heads up base running on Horner too, to just run it out hard, right? He had a soft ground ball. It's not really Horner who does that, and this is why he's just a ball player. He's someone who's going to run out every ground ball. He's going to play hard all the time. That's why Cubs fans love him. That's why he's one of the leaders on this team. It's the ground ball, runs it out. You know what I mean?
He made it happen.
Yeah, he made
Something
it
out of
happen. And
nothing.
it's little things like that. Are the little things like that going to always win you a game like this? Probably not. Is it going to lead to this team being a lot different and somehow winning a lot more games than we expected? No. But I will say this, these last 2 games, they feel like season-changing type wins, man. They really do. Again, you gotta keep going, and yeah, the Reds gotta start losing some games. Will they lose some games? I don't know, man. But they're playing the Nationals right now. I don't know. Do they have the pitching? I don't think they have the pitching. Will they be able to do this all season? We'll see. They have the offense, but at the end of the day, the Cubs got to do what they can control, and that's they got to win games. They need to get back to 500, and they need to.
That's the first
ascend
step.
from there. You know
gotta,
what I mean?
The first step is getting back to 500. They were close. They went on that little streak, and now it seems like they're kind of rebounding from it here. We'll see if they can capitalize. Yeah, Cubs have the Reds July 31st, August 1st, and August 2nd. So hopefully they're on a little bit of a closeout there.
Gary let's do the super chat.
Yeah, we
haven't
did
done
have
the
a
super
super
chat, and
chat.
then I'll read Gary's comment. He's Fernando. Shout out to you, $1.99 from Fernando.
Cody, Trout out 48 weeks. Ohtani to the Cubs. Don't let me talk myself into it, man. Don't let me talk myself into it. Who says no? Michael Fulmer for Shohei Ohtani. Oh, Steven, our producer, coming in the clutch right now. This is how you manifest it. This is how you manifest Ohtani to the Cubs. Screenshot it. Put it all over the internet. Let all of everyone get mad at us about this. This is hilarious.
Everybody's having a fun time in the chat. Even our producer Steven with the graphics today. That is hilarious. I love that.
Okay. Anyway, Gary asked, if you scroll up a little bit, Steven, he said, Cody, would you bring up Luis Vasquez if Swanson's out for extended period of time? I mean, maybe, but I like Horner and Morel up the middle. We've seen Morel play pretty well at second base in his time there. Now, as far as the player to bring up, I'm sure maybe. I think they could use another pitcher.
Feels like a Nelson Velasquez.
Or
call
Velasquez.
for another outfielder because you're going to have Morel playing
or just
more infield.
I honestly like that for Velasquez. I would, I'd lean more DH because if you're going to play Morel at second base while you put Horner at short, if Swanson is out extended time, then that opens up the DH spot. You know
Very
what
true.
I mean? So you could platoon Velasquez with Wisdom if you're gonna. Well, I guess you would have to play Wisdom at third if you're gonna play Morel at second. This is kind of like the downfall of Madrigal being out, and is someone that criticized Madrigal a lot. He was hitting the last handful of weeks, so I'm a little bummed that he is out just because I'm
really bummed.
He at least started performing, right?
I'm really bummed that Nick Madrigal's out.
Yeah, hopefully Wisdom can start hitting, like get a hot streak or at least cut down on the strikeouts. That's what the Cubs are hoping.
Well, we're certainly going to see a lot of him these next couple of games in the Yankee series, just to Madrigal being out. And if, again, story of the day is the Cubs comeback win, but obviously worried about Dansby Swanson's heel contusion. Same injury he had a few years ago, caused him to miss a month. We'll see if it's that serious. Let's hope it's not that serious. The Cubs have had this thing this year where they've had guys get injured and they're saying, oh, we don't think it's that serious.
Like
and
Bellinger.
Cody Bellinger misses 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So we'll take it day by day. Dansby won't be in the lineup tomorrow. They said we'll see if he's available. He's probably not going to be available. Let's hope they don't need him. Let's hope that it's a blowout win behind Stroman tomorrow, and they don't even need to worry about that. And you can rest. You get you can rest him a little bit in the Yankee series if you want to, but that would be a tough blow. Let's hope there's no IL stint for Dansby Swanson because he has been their best player this year, and he called it the thing that scares me is he called it a frustrating injury back in 2019, and so I'm doing everything in my power to get back and be ready. I have no clue when that will be.
Yeah.
So again, we're not saying it's the same thing. We're just saying he's had heel injuries in the past, and it's something we're going to keep an eye on. But he won't be in the lineup for the series finale behind Stroman.
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier in the show, the time. If we're going to have to deal with this, the timing of it, I guess, is not as bad because you have the All-Star break coming up, and I would assume if he doesn't play tomorrow or this weekend against the Yankees, that he probably wouldn't even play in the All-Star game or anything like that. So
doubtful.
Let's just say hypothetically, if they were to IL him, minimum 10-day stint, he'd only miss 6 games.
Yeah,
That's not too bad.
It's not terrible. And he's proven to be a healthy player over the last handful of years. He played like all 162 the last 2 years. So, he's just been so steady for this team. For me as like a grudge guy, I'm a big grudge guy. If you're new to the show, I'm a big grudge guy. I'm so tired of the Swanson slander in my Twitter mentions and CHGO Cubs Twitter mentions. Like, the dude is far and away the best player on the team. To me, it's not even really close. He's the best defender. He's increased his on-base percentage. It's like the best on-base percentage of his career. He gets on base. I'm sorry he hasn't hit 27 homers yet, dude. Like, it's July. He has 10. I don't know. Look, right now it looks like he's on pace for maybe 20. Either way, he's been getting on base. Yeah, today 2 double plays in bad situations. They won the game, whatever. Has he had bad games? Yeah, everyone has bad games. I don't know. He's just like, to me, he's shown to be a leader. To me, he's been everything as advertised when the Cubs signed him. That's how I feel about it. So
Oh, totally. And the double plays tonight, that's going to happen. That happens to every major league ball player.
and the
man.
umpire didn't help him in that second one either with the ball that was called a strike to start the at bat.
Yeah, it's been a tough series for these umpires, and we don't want to. Again, it's a tough job. I'm not saying it's not, but Andy Fletcher tonight, he really struggled, and it was obvious. You saw David Ross keeping his mouth shut. I think he knows a fine is already coming for what happened the night before. And either way, you don't win or lose games with umpiring, but we're going to point it out there. Andy Fletcher had a tough zone tonight. He missed on the outside. He missed low. He missed inside on a strikeout to Suzuki. I mean,
that one was so bad.
Balls that were really
There were
not
a
close.
few balls that he called balls that we were surprised he didn't call strikes based off how the game had gone. He was and to go with that just shows how inconsistent he was.
It was tough.
Yeah, the last 18 innings for umpires in Milwaukee is a tough scene. So
Hopefully it's not that way tomorrow. Cubs will throw Marcus Stroman. He's made 6 starts against the Brewers in his career. Tomorrow will be number 7. He has a batting average of 150 in those games.
opponents.
Opponent's batting average of 1. Yeah, no, not his. On base percentage is a little bit lower. I'm trying to pull that up right now. On base percentage is 240. OPS of 520. So he's had some pretty good success against the Brewers in his career. And we saw a couple people in the chat saying tomorrow's going to be the biggest win of the year. If they can take the series again, Corey and I we all sat here a week ago saying you got to take 3 or 4 from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
You want to stay in this race, you got to take 3 or 4 from Milwaukee. They're in a great prime position to do so tomorrow. It stinks that Dansby won't be there, but this is a soul-snatching win. Let's hope they can do it, huh?
Yeah, absolutely, man. If they win tomorrow, I guess if there's anything to be mad about is the fact that you blew a 6-0 lead on Monday. But whatever. We said they got to take at least 3 or 4 against Milwaukee, and if they win tomorrow, I'll be happy with it. And you're taking some momentum out to New York where you hadn't won a game yet. So
who you got, and then we'll pay some bills and get on out of here tonight. Again, thanks for everybody for tuning in. 107 likes, 160 people watching. Tanya Harris, suck.
those umpires are on edibles. Hopefully, it's they're getting their edibles from Sunnyside.
Let's get to who you got tonight. So I had Nico. Nico was hitless tonight, so I did not win. Ryan had Hap.
I took Barnhart.
You had Barnhart. I think Hap might be the winner because I know Dansby grounded in a couple double plays. Brendan had Dansby.
Hap had the RBI single, just like the one run that they had before the 9th inning.
And he had Bellinger. Corey had Bellinger.
Who had he had a hit or 2? How many hits did he have?
Yeah, he had 2 hits tonight.
hits?
Extended his hitting streak to 11 games. I'm giving it to Hap.
Yeah.
A couple hits for Hap.
He had 2 walks, too. Hap had 2 walks,
2 hits and 2 walks. Wow,
Yep,
okay.
and
Yeah.
an RBI. So
And I'll be honest, we didn't talk about this a lot tonight because they were just, Hap makes him look routine. He was really busy out there in left field and made some really nice catches on
first
some line
inning,
drives.
he had a really nice catch that I think had a high expected batting average. I want to say it was a ball hit by Yelich, but I know early in the season a lot of people were talking about his outfield defense kind of not being great. I feel like maybe just making nice plays of late. I feel like over the last month or so, Ian Happ's defense in left field has been incredible, especially the last 2 days with him saving the game yesterday and some of the plays he made tonight. So, I obviously want to see him hit a few more home runs, but overall he's been everything that he is advertised as. 2 walks again tonight. The guy has one of the highest on-base percentages in baseball. Gets on base, but the one thing that I feel like we can all rightfully bicker about is driving in more runs. He did drive in a run today, though. So, good game for him. Hopefully, he builds off it. Continues to build off it. He had a good game yesterday, so they need Ian Happ. They need Ian Happ to just be a star on this team.
Congrats to Ryan. I don't know what his record is. I don't have it in front of me, but Ryan is the winner of who you got tonight.
I will update it tomorrow because I completely forgot to update it from last week.
Ryan's on a heater right now, too. He's like 4 wins in the last week.
Yeah, I'm sure he's talking about it in Slack. Don't
Ryan,
boost his ego anymore.
Ryan knows ball, I guess. So
yeah, don't boost his ego. Stop it. Okay. Well, before we pay the bills, also Cardinals blow a 9th inning lead. Jordan Hicks Devin Williams, man, you sucked in the 9th inning, but Jordan Hicks said, "Hold my beer," even though that happened first. But don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Cardinals are a dumpster fire, and it is pretty fun to watch. Silver lining to this season, as frustrating as the Cubs have been, it could be worse. It could be a lot worse.
Yeah, you could be a automatic playoff contender according to the people, the experts, and then completely fall apart before the All-Star break. But hey, better organization, am I right, Wilson? Boom, roasted. All right. Pins and Aces is the official golf apparel partner of ALLCITY and CHGO. We love our Pins and Aces gear and get tons of compliments on and off the course. They are a family-owned golf apparel business. They make amazing polos, hats, golf bags, and even our favorite beer sleeve, an innovative product that allows you to store 7 beers right inside your golf bag and keep drinks cold the entire round. Check out pinsandaces.com. Use code CHGO to receive 15% off your first order and get the free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com. The entire Cardinals team could use some Pins and Aces because they're going to be on the golf course starting in October 1st. Boom, roasted. Okay.
That was good.
Thank you. I love The Office. Anyway.
It's a great one. This weekend, I had a great 4th of July weekend, man.
Yeah.
I was in Tennessee. I was in New Buffalo, Michigan. I was in Milwaukee. I mean, not a great game, but I was in the sun the whole weekend, in the pool a lot. I got a little sunburn. I don't know if you can tell. Am I a little bronze on the camera? I hope I'm looking good for the camera. Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have had me covered, have you covered for the warm weather ahead and all summer long with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn, durable frames, and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. That's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they're going to send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. Together with their customer, Shady Rays is improving much-needed support to nonprofit partners across the United States through Shady Rays Impact. From building playsets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS, the outdoor adventure of a lifetime, Shady Rays is making an impact in your community and others like it now and for years to come. If you don't love your Shady Rays, exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. No risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. And exclusively for our listeners, just for you guys, all 200 of you that were in the chat today, Shady Rays giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com right now. Use the code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. What a win for the Cubs tonight, Cody. 4-3, the final. Cubs come all the way back in the 9th inning. The summer of Mike Tauchman continues. The good vibes are back. We appreciate everybody hanging out in the chat tonight. Cubs win. They're 40-45. They go for the series win against their rival Milwaukee tomorrow behind Marcus Stroman. How you feeling about it?
I'm feeling great. Again, me and Jared will be here post-game. No pregame tomorrow, post-game. Barb, immediately after the game. After the game, Barb.
We will be live.
We will be live right here, CHGO Sports YouTube. And obviously we'll have the audio go up on podcast platforms as well. So we'll see you all here. Again, huge win tonight. Let's ride the vibes into tomorrow. And God, don't let me talk myself back into 88 wins, like I said at the beginning of the year.
Like, subscribe, and download. And thank you for dropping in to check out the CHGO Cubs podcast. Jared and Cody got you tomorrow. Game 4 up in Milwaukee. Let's fly that W for the 3rd time this series, huh, Cubs fans?